Howdy, gang, and I've got the Scooby-Doo light going on in the background. I don't know how well you guys and gals can see that, but I hope you can make out some of it. I need to figure out a different way to position it. I think I need to bring a tray back here and actually set it on the tray. I think that's what Steve and I did like a year or two ago. And there's my dear husband. Hello, dear. Um, I'm going to actually, because for some reason it's warm as can be back here. I don't think I've had this air conditioner on all day back here. But for some reason I'm warm now. Hopefully y'all will permit me to eat. I mean, what are you going to do about it? But my vegetable soup. As I do this stream for apples and oranges. Fulci Gore versus Fulci Sleaze. I wanted to have a guest on here, but sometimes that's just not meant to be. So, um, like I always say, if anybody comes in here and would like to be on the stream with me for any of these that I do, um, as long as you can behave, that's the only uh, prerequisite I've got. Don't be taking your clothes off. Don't be doing nasty things, and don't be rude and all that stuff. So, just normal things, right? So, we're going to get to Fulci Gore versus Fulci Sleaze here in just a minute, and I'm going to tell you guys and gals where I stand on it. If we have a few people in the chat tonight, including my dear husband Steve, if he wants to chime in, I think maybe I'm wrong, but I figure that I know what side of the fence he's going to be on with this. But a few little housekeeping things to get out of the way before we start talking about the topic tonight. Tomorrow night will be another Fantasy Fulci. I'll be talking about another group of films that I would have liked to seen what Fulci would have done with. And if you want to come in here either live on the stream or in the chat and talk about some movies, they don't have to be the same ones that I'm talking about. Heck, I don't even know what I'm going to be talking about. I'm going to have to get a group of them together. Last week was talking about Bruno Mattei movies. What if Fulci had made these Bruno Mattei movies? And I think he would have made them better. But in any event, there's a whole lot of Fulci programming going on the channel. If you haven't watched some of the things that I have put out, please, dive right in. Now, Friday, Friday Foolish will be at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Me and Candace are switching up the time, just because we like to keep things hopping around here. As soon as you think something's one way, we go and change it on you, right? No, actually, we thought it might be better for both of us and easier on us, and also easier on Chris if he wanted to hop on there with us. So, Friday Foolish, we will be talking about some of our favorite Halloween and fall movies. And surprise, surprise, they're not all going to have a Halloween theme to them. So be sure to tune in for that at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Tomorrow night's stream for Fantasy Fulci will also be at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, just like this one. If you guys and gals have suggestions for things you'd like me to cover, movies you'd like me to give my thoughts on, if you think that 8 o'clock's too early or too late for a lot of these streams, you can let me know. There will be no watch-alongs this weekend, but next weekend there will be a couple more Fulci films. I think what I'm going to do is House by the Cemetery on Saturday, because I didn't get to cover it last time. And The Beyond on Sunday. Not this weekend, but next weekend, starting at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Don't worry, I will remind you again before we do that. I also realized that I hadn't done any kind of countdown to Scarefest like I did the countdown to Horror Hound Weekend. So I'm going to try to do a last ditch effort for Sunday and talk about everything that's going to be going on, who's going to be at Scarefest, has anybody canceled, and all of that good stuff. So, without further ado, I'm going to get to the discussion between Fulci Gore versus Fulci Sleaze. And I'm just going to tell you right off the bat which side of the fence I'm on. I'm on the Fulci Gore side. Because the horror and the gore, that's more my forte. Now, on the other side of that coin, you have things like New York Ripper, which you may say, whoa, 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 back it up, Dana. That's a slasher film. Yes, indeed. It is pretty much a slasher film. But it's also very sleazy. And you can ask Steve about that one. Now, the other one that pops into my mind when I think of Fulci Sleaze is The Devil's Honey. And I can't say anything about that other than it is sleazy, right? So if you've not seen those two, yeah, sleazy. That's what side of the fence you're on, Steve? The sleazy side, the New York Ripper and Devil's Honey side. So, but again, I'm more on the gore side. And why? Because I like the horror side of it better. Now, am I saying that I pretty much don't care for the Devil's Honey at all? The Devil's Honey, in my opinion, has nothing that I care to watch. Now, I've seen it maybe one, maybe two times with Steve, but I'm really not that interested in it and could never, never, never envision myself buying that movie. Now, do I think you're a pervert if you like that movie? No, certainly not. Everybody has things that they like and dislike, right? And some people have things that they like better. Steve says no. So, are you on the horror and gore side, Steve? Steve might surprise me tonight. Um, but the stuff that I tend to gravitate towards when I want to watch a Fulci film is the horror stuff and the gory stuff. You know, you've got City of the Living Dead, aka Gates of Hell. You've got The Beyond. You've got House by the Cemetery. You've got Zombie. You know, those are the ones that I really gravitate to. And why? Because they're fun. I don't really find sleazy movies fun. And if you ask most people that have seen the New York Ripper, they say the New York Ripper is very mean spirited. Steve, would you agree that New York Ripper's mean spirited? And the Devil's Honey, all I think that the Devil's Honey is got going for it, and this is no jab at Fulci, is that some of it turns the male audience on, and maybe some of the female audience, I don't know. It doesn't do anything for me, but there is one particular scene where a guy basically gets a woman off using a saxophone. And that's not a euphemism for his penis. I'm not telling you that. I'm saying literally he gets her off with a saxophone. And if you don't believe me, you need to watch that movie. But while the New York Ripper is primarily a slasher film, and I like it that the killer um, calls people up and speaks in a, a duck voice, he does wear a duck mask, doesn't he, Steve? And he kind of talks in a duck voice, and he quack quack. His thing. Steve. It's too bad Steve is not on here with me because he could do the New York Ripper Killer voice a lot better than me. If I had my if I had my mixer board up here, I could probably do the duck voice. But but again, I want the zombies. I want the gore. I want all the gut wrenching, um, intestine pulling, brain ripping, eye splintering uh, gore entertainment. Um, because that's mostly what I equate with Fulci is the gore. Because usually when you sit down to watch a Fulci film, unless it's a sex comedy like the sex comedy La Praetora that I talked about last night with Edwidge Fenech, or the Western for the Apocalypse, although the Western was pretty bloody, um, but not like City of the Living Dead and not like The Beyond or House by the Cemetery, Zombie, any of those. Um, those are the ones that really get my movie juices going. If I want to have a good time, and some people are probably like, "Good Lord, Dana, how can you have a good time um, watching people get their brains pulled out and splinters going into eyes and all that?" Because believe it or not, folks, believe it or not, watching that kind of stuff is a stress reliever because number one, I know it's fake. These people are not really getting killed, but it gives you a sort of release. Not a sexual release, but a stress release. Let's say you've had a really rough day at work, or you had a fight with your significant other, or maybe a little bit of both, or somebody cut you off in traffic and you're feeling really pissed off. Um, oh well, Tom, I agree with you. I have never been a fan of the animal cruelty um, in the cannibal films because it's simply not needed to make the film effective. If you can kill people in a fake fashion, then if you want to put scenes of animal death, you could do it with special effects. There is no need to kill defenseless animals. I agree with you through and through. I've talked about, you can ask Steve, I've talked about that a lot. Now, does that mean I don't watch cannibal movies? No. But nowadays, I usually turn away when um, when there's animal cruelty on the screen. The rest of it I can watch. Um, but, when something happens in your real life that really pisses you off, what better way to get a release than sit down and watch a really gory, senseless, in so many respects, horror film where you know that the deaths are not real, okay? You know that these people are not really getting killed, okay? And, I think to some extent, people with normal psyches, I like to think that I've got a normal psyche. Um, that are being picked on or something like that in school or whatever. And then you watch something like Carrie where and I know this isn't Fulci related, but that Carrie basically gets her revenge on her classmates for making fun of her and embarrassing her in front of everyone at the prom. Tom, you said the worst thing is the actors had three scenes in that movie gently stroking that animal. After this, the animal gets killed on film for real. Yeah, exactly. It's it's simply not needed. They can say that it's for the foreign market all they want, like for the Asian market. I think that it's been said that's bullcrap to me. Yeah, it that if you really want my blood to boil, kill animals for real. And I've always said, even in fake terms, um, when deaths of animals are clearly special effects, I always say you can kill as many people as you want fakely in a film, but leave the poor animals alone. Um, so, um, but to get back to the sleazy part of it, the New York Ripper, the Devil's Honey. Again, this is no slight on Fulci. I have great respect for Fulci as a director, but um, I think that especially the Devil's Honey, New York Ripper might have a little bit more going for it as far as in the slasher department, but and I urge somebody to prove me wrong if you think you can prove me wrong on this, but The Devil's Honey to me feels like it only exists to titillate the male audience, to tease the male audience, to say, "Ooh, you think you've seen it all? Come here, come inside this tent, and we'll show you sights you've never seen before." So, it's kind of like the circus tent thing or the freak show or something like that. And I hope that doesn't get me in trouble saying that. Um, you want to see what's in this tent, what's under this blanket. I'm going to guide your hand. And I'm going to, or it's like, to some extent, and some of you might say, well, the Gore films are like this too. But the Halloween game you would play where you would close your eyes or turn off all the lights and they'd have like peeled grapes and they'd tell you it's eyeballs or whatever. That's how I feel about the sleazier Fulci films. It's like, I'm just putting this up there just to see if I can get a reaction out of you. And you most certainly can get a reaction from people with the Gore. It's like, oh, that's so cool. I want to know how they did the special effects. Or the gag reflex sets in and somebody's, very ill because of something they watched. But either way, you get a reaction. But to me, it's an entirely different reaction than you would get from a sleaze film. Okay. Or a purely exploitational film that uses what is the line in Fast Times at Ridgemont High when Brad's soon to be ex girlfriend tells him, I don't want to use sex as a tool, Brad. And he's like, a tool for what? So I feel like that with these sleaze films, a lot of times they are using sex, the female body, um, different ways of getting off, um, to great effect, right? And I'm just not interested in that. I'm not. I just don't really get enjoyment out of that. And that's why I would probably never watch The Devil's Honey by myself. It's not one I think, oh, I want to watch a Fulci film today. I'm going to put in The Devil's Honey. Okay. Um, it's probably, unless you talk about the ones where Fulci, he was sick and stuff like that, and some of the movies kind of fell off the mark there towards the end of his career and the end of his life. I think that his spark started to die, and that's not his fault. That's not his fault. But of the movies that people consider popular, The Devil's Honey would be one of my least favorites. It would be at the bottom of the list. And again, if The Devil's Honey is something that you enjoy, if you enjoy The New York Ripper more than you do City of the Living Dead, I applaud you. And, I would love to hear why people would choose those films over Fulci's, splatter gore fest, right? Um, you know, like I said before, Fulci wasn't called the godfather of gore for nothing, right? He was a master at it. And I literally have a lot of fun. They are popcorn movies, and you guys and gals have heard me talk about popcorn movies before. Um, they're literally popcorn movies. The kind of things that you want to, get your popcorn and go to a drive-in if you have a drive-in near you that would show one of these movies. And I was lucky enough to get to watch City of the Living Dead, aka The Gates of Hell, at a drive-in. Now, it was missing the Bob head drill scene, but I still got to see it, as Joe Bob would say, at the drive-in like God intended. Like my parents saw it originally, and they got to see the Bob head drill scene. I don't know what print was playing at the Skyline Drive-In in Indiana, but I had them pulling up at the funeral parlor twice. No Bob head drill scene. So if you've got to see City of the Living Dead at the drive-in or even at a theater, and you got to see the head drill scene, hats off to you. I would have really liked to seen it on the big screen. Unfortunately, I did not get that chance. But I'm still kicking, so there still might be a chance that I can do that. But I'm probably not going to be on here too much longer because, like I always say, when I'm on here by myself and there's not somebody to bounce things off of, I start to ramble after a while, and I don't like to do that because that's not entertaining for anybody. And if I happen to go back and watch it to see how the stream turned out, I'm like, oh my God, that was awful, Um, but I can probably stay on here a couple more minutes or something if somebody wants to come in the chat and mention something about these movies. Or maybe you want to bring up one that I didn't mention. I would love to hear your thoughts on it. But if I don't hear anything here in a little bit, probably going to call it a night early. But I do want to thank Tom, my dear husband Steve, for being in here tonight. And for those of you that were watching that maybe didn't feel comfortable chatting tonight, thank you for coming in here. As always, I appreciate everybody that supports my channel. I would not have the subscribers that I have if people didn't take a chance and, came and saw what Dana was talking about tonight. Thank you, dear. Steve says, press the like button, please. Yes, that does, believe it or not, that does help the YouTube algorithms. Um, so if you like the content that I'm putting out, if you please hit the like button. Um, if you aren't subscribed and you would like to, be notified whenever, I have um, new stuff up, you can subscribe. You can click on the little bell that will notify you and let you know when I put new stuff up. It should notify you of things that are coming up so you don't miss any live streams that you might want to be a part of, whether it's in the chat or coming in here live with me on the stream. As always, when I do watch alongs, if people want to let me know that, hey, I'd like to be on there with you for this particular stream or this watch along, I will make sure that you get the link. If you're my friend on Facebook, it's real easy. But if not, I can always put it in the chat. And just so you know, I do, pay attention, if people come in backstage. And it's probably a good thing that I do that because there have been some instances in the past where people were doing nefarious things that they shouldn't have been doing, but that's all I'm going to say about it. But I want to thank everybody that was in the chat, that was watching. I want to thank those that will watch it on the replay. And I guess that's it for me. So I'm off like a dirty shirt. This shirt is not dirty, but I'm off like one. And I want to remind everybody, as I always do before I get off of here for the night, to be kind to one another and blaze that trail. Have a fantastic rest of your Wednesday night, folks. Got a couple more days. I got a day and a half, and I'm done for the week. Be sure to tune in for Friday Foolish, Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time will be Fantasy Fulci. And Sunday, I'm planning on doing a solitary video on the upcoming Scarefest, which will be the following weekend. So, and look forward to all of that. And I'm out of here for now, and I'll see everybody next time.